Okay, so this is for Mr. Matrix Decoded. Truth is, you lose every court, lose in court every time. You can't point to. You can point to no use of your method. You can point to no use of your method that has produced a win. When you're going up against a corrupt system, you're more than likely not going to win. When you file a notice for discovery by the post and physically serve it before the mention, and you get stopped from going into the courtroom, they don't post what room you're in, or he won't tell you what room you're in, and then says you have to enter a plea before he will give you the actual court room. That is corruption at the fucking highest level by a court officer in Parramatta Court. And then when he started threatening me, I recorded him, and then I was arrested, so I couldn't even go into court. So they created a controversy. They actually attacked me in a parliament, because a court is where you speak of the mind. Parlay of the mind. Parliament. I was attacked inside a parliament. Right? Inside the court. Now this guy says you never win. Well, when I filed a judicial review on the magistrate, so instead of fucking trying to do notice discovery, I powwowed with a few people I used to deal with, and then we worked out, okay, let's do a judicial review. We'll go straight to the Supreme Court. And then the guy in the Supreme Court lied and said you can't do a judicial review on a magistrate. So then I walk out, like I said before in the other clip, and turns out you can do a judicial review on a magistrate. So if we're not all equal before the law, then there is no law. Right, it's a maxim. So this is a response to this dickhead saying the definition of stupidity is one who keeps doing the same thing expecting a different result. I have asked you to show the results many times, so if I click on this, it should come up with some more counter arguments. And he basically says the words don't have the meanings or the roots. He says the etymology. Here we go. Here, Freeman thinks he can decide what words mean based on etymology and root meanings. Well, fucking how else is a word fucking created? The word's created from a root, and the use of it based on the root, and it will have expanded meanings within industry, like a fixture. I don't like using the word fixture. Like Mercury talks about a fixture, right? It's a hearing, it's a light fitting, it's a something you'll no, I can't think of them all now. Like a fitting. Could be a tap, could be a bracket on a wall. It has a root, and the etymology is the branches from that root into different industries. Now, listen to this. Freeman thinks he can decide what words mean based on etymology and root meanings. I mean, that's how you fucking look up words. So, Lex Mercatoria has come onto the land. While this can inform, it's not relevant in many cases. So what this fuckwit says is that acts can define acts, but you don't go to acts to find the meaning of the act. You go to the law dictionary to find the meaning of the word as it applies in law. Because if you've got a corrupt government, society, whatever, they can just give it whatever meaning. But if the meaning is comprehended across the board, legally speaking, because when France writes some law or a treaty, it has to conform to international norms. So the words have to mean the same fucking thing. And so this arsehole comes in here. So what I'm trying to say is the root is the true meaning of the word, and they teach us the Babylonian version. Now, this is what I discovered. A language viewed as an abstract system used by a speech community in contrast to the actual linguistic behaviour of individuals. So, a language viewed as an abstract system. So, this is stract, okay? STRATE is a body. All these letters make up a body, right? Abstract means can also mean the structure it follows, or language is a structure that we all know and use. But langue, most people would be familiar with. So this seems abstract compared to the natural stract. So stract means body, yeah. Abstract means no body. So 99% of people on the planet will have never heard of the word langue. So it's abstract. It's not part of the body that we use. This is part of the body that we use, language. So a language viewed as abstract, having no uniformity system, used by a speech community, in contrast to actual linguistic behaviour of individuals. So in contrast to the actual, so this is what I'm doing right now. I'm using normal linguistic behaviour, plain old-fashioned English. But within the words that I'm speaking, the word you means debtor. Okay? You means debtor. Right? So we didn't know that. And so that's an example of you having a secondary meaning, which is abstract. It's not part of any system that we know of. Now, a language viewed as abstract system used by speech, so it says speech community, right? So if I open up this page, I'll open up another one. While that one's loading, I'll go to this one. And I'll come down to, where's Wikipedia? Here we go, this is Wacky-Doo. Wikipedia. Now Wikipedia should never be used for reference material, because even I can modify this. I can get into the settings and change the code, so I can edit, right? You go in there as a create an account, go in and edit it. So langue meaning language, it's a type of language, and parole meaning speaking. Okay, it doesn't. Parole comes from a parable, which means speak. Right? Are linguistic terms defined by whatever? Langue encompasses abstract system, the abstract systematic rules of conventions of a signifying system. See, it's just written in all fucking gobbledygook, right? It's independent, pre-existing individual users. Langue involves principles of language without without which no meaningful utterance, parole, would be possible. Okay, it's just parole. Okay, okay, yeah. I had to go through this a fair bit. So, this is what I wrote, and this is me spending fucking 4 hours on this. Okay. Langue is an abstract language system that is a speech society, but is not spoken. Okay, so if I come back to this, it'll say, without which no meaningful utterance, speech would be possible. So langue involves principles of language, but you don't speak it. So it's encoded into this sentence. So to read this, it's a bit backhanded and a bit sort of, arse about. Without which no meaningful utterance, speech, would be possible. So it involves the principle of language, but doesn't involve any speech. So this is a speech community, but it's not spoken. Now, I've gone through 4 hours of this stuff, and I'll even go to here, and it talks about there were English Knights of the Hospital. So there were English Knights of the Hospitalier cult from the time of the First Crusade, long before the foundations of English langue in the very early years of the 14th century. Long before the foundation of the English langue in the early years of the 14th century. Right, now, langue does mean language, but langue as its own entity, you'll see here, they were English Knights of the Hospital. See, it doesn't say of the hospital, I mean a hospital, no, it's the Hospitalis cult. Right, long before the foundation of the English langue in the early years of the 14th century. In the English langue were knights. Well, you can't have in the English langue were knights from England. In the English langue society there were knights from England. Okay, so you can see here that they're using the Langue in this English sentence here because it's implied. It's like in Hebrew they don't use the vowels, so it'd be N, G, L, N, D, and that would be the snake's return, the shepherd of the snake's door. Right, doorway is the, so it'd be G, R, N, D, P, R, R, Y, T, H. There's no vowels in Hebrew. They don't write it. As a minor, they would write it, but to get the phonics. But as an adult, they wouldn't write it. So you got formal, informal, and then you got anyway. So what I'm saying here is this isn't a misspelling. In the English Langue Society were knights from England. Okay, so I'll go back to here. Alright. If you look up the word community in Black's Law, it says society. So a language viewed in the abstract system used by a speech society, in contrast to actual linguistic behaviour of individuals, because it's an unspoken speech. It's written, has a meaning, you can read it, but it's not spoken. Therefore, it's part of a secret society's code. It's a codex, and I just fucking broke it. I have been breaking it. Alright, and then we come back to here. Langue involves principles of language, so there's a structure there without which no meaningful utterance, there's no meaningful speech associated with it, because it's not spoken, it's secret. Okay, now I'll come back to this. Now I've reinforced everything, I've gone through. I'm not going to show you all the pages I opened up. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Langue is an abstract language system that is. This is my gloss. This is my opinion based on the breakdown of all the expert. This is just an overview. I'm not going to show you all the pages I've gone through. The word parabola means speech. Yeah. I've closed about 20 of these bloody fucking things. It was conviction. Convinciere. So in order to be convicted, you've got to be convinced, right? So you've got to be conviction. You've got to be convinced. You've got to know force, intent of the snake's return to the energy man. So you've got to be convinced that you're the person. Alright, that's why conviction comes from convince, which comes from convictio, which comes from convinciere. And if you delete each one of these letters, you'll get like variations of convince. Alright, someone's shown me the Vatican comes up as an city, or the city. So city is a corporation. Anyway, alright, so where was I? Get back to here. So Langue is an abstract language system that is a speech society, hidden society. Langue is an abstract language system that is a speech society, or that is from a speech society, but is not spoken, that uses text and has hidden meanings within the text that other individuals use commonly and is not spoken, aka parole, as parole means to speak, and parole comes from parabolas. That's a misspelling. While Langue is not to be spoken, it requires parole, aka it to be spoken, to comprehend it. You need to speak it and you need to read it. It needs to be shown to you how it applies. Breaking the lex lie. Okay. So there were English knights of the hospitalis cult from the time of the First Crusade, long before foundations of English Langue Society from the English Langue Society in the early years of the 14th century. In the English Langue Society were knights from England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. Around 1144, 2 priories established, one for England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland. Queen Mary, I'm just going to read this bit now, I'm finished. Queen Mary revived the English Langue Society in 1557, and Clerkenwell was restored. This is a priory. Was restored under the Grand Priory Thomas Tresham. The Virgin Queen was less sympathetic. In 1559, Elizabeth dismembered the priory and seized its lands and assets. Alright, so I'll put the link in here, and in this link you'll see this paragraph, this paragraph, this paragraph, this paragraph. It goes down there about 4 pages. If you try to find this on your own, you'll get lost because there's like fucking 1,200 of these bastards. Plus every page. So Langue is an abstract system that is a speech society but not spoken, that uses text, and I've seen this demonstrated to me here in Australia. And the words used were sensitive legal, right? And it was said to mean God's contract, right? And God is grantor of dominion. Langue is an abstract language system that is a speech society but not spoken, that uses text and has hidden meaning within the text that other individuals use commonly, so common English, and is not spoken, aka parole, as parole means to speak, and parole comes from parabola. While language is not to be spoken, it requires parole, aka it to be spoken, speak to comprehend it. It has to be explained to you. I mean, you could write down the word, the sentence, and then highlight something, and then below it you could write what it actually is, but you would still have to speak it at some point. Or you have to write out what it is, which is speaking using syntax. Right? So they've come down, they've taught us our ABCs, but never taught us the roots of the words and the abstracts and the stracts and the etymology. And all the etymology is the use of the word over a period of time, and rarely does etymology show you the root. Now, if you there's an awesome clip. Actually, I'll look it up right now. No, I'll just go here. Open up none. People watch me click. I'm almost finished. Give me 1 sec. So what I'm going to do is, I can't remember what I'm going to do. I forgot. I was too busy clicking. Shit. Anyway, lost my train of thought. Doesn't matter. That's alright. I couldn't remember what I was doing. So I'll finish off with this. This is the Murray River photo taken 120 years ago during the Federation. This is 1895, and this is the Murray. Now, right now today, the Murray River from the Weir Dam down to South Australia is overflowing. Okay, the Murray River, being fed by the Weir Dam, is overflowing. Other parts of the Murray River are not overflowing. Right, so all the rivers north of in northern New South Wales that go out by Broken Hill, and that they're all dry, because they've all been cleaned out. Now, look at this river. This is a riverbed with no obstructions, no logs, no... this should have heaps of boulders. This should be like a weir. Every 5 kilometres should be like a weir, where the water, if rain stops, water still sits here for like 3 or 4 years, and it slowly feeds through. We've come through and removed all the natural structures that would have been there. Right? And all these little trees, these are tiny little fucking trees. If you go and watch any of the old colonial movies, early in New South Wales, recorded back in the late 1800s, the trees went from there to there, and they were 150 metres tall. We came in and logged the whole of Australia. Right? I'm not saying there was out in Central Australia there were fucking trees, but Australia was called the bush because it was just one big bush. The trees were fucking huge, right? And it was logged. If you go to there's an old iron bridge at the Nepean River, and there's a sketch, a painting, and back in those days the artists were accurate. It would almost look like this, and it actually shows you 100 years ago that at Penrith there was no fucking trees. like there was a picture of the Blue Mountains, and it looked like someone had just cut it down about 20 years earlier, and there was just saplings growing everywhere. So even in 1900, we had completely fucking clear-fell logged all of the Blue Mountains, right? Because this picture shows nothing, no trees at all. It shows the Blue Mountains. There's no trees. We clear-felled it at least twice in the last 200 years, right? And this is the lie. This is the great fucking lie, right? Well, it's been raining from 1895 to 1995. There was no drought, no El Nino, no fucking nothing. In 1970, we were going into an ice age because it was raining so much. We're having floods everywhere, right? Queensland only just had floods fucking 7 years ago, and the same year we had the floods, the year before, Rupert Murdoch's cousin got given $10 million to make it rain in Queensland. And then the minister comes out and said, "Oh, we didn't realise it was going to have this effect." Right? In a very quick 5-minute spiel, she said, "Oh, we didn't realise cloud seeding was going to have this effect." And then she fucked off, and it was never spoken about ever again. So, this is, there was no global warming back in 1895. Now, in 1870, Yellowstone National Park, the glaciers were melting. This is before the Industrial Revolution, right? Could have any effect, right? So in 1870, Yellowstone National Park was recording the glacier was melting and retracting. Right? We have these peaks and troughs, and they're all based on solar flares, and we've got to knock down these fucking arrays, these radio tower arrays out in Western Australia and Central New South Wales. We've got to get your 4 drives, set up 100 of them, go out there and fucking just run these cunts down, knock them down. There are military ranges, the whole fucking lot, knock them down. They do nothing except push the clouds off the continent. Right? Go look at satellite photos, you'll see the fucking the smoke coming off a fire, and then you'll see all of a sudden the smoke does a 90-degree turn because there's a massive pressure wave there from all the fucking mobile towers. But you're too busy fucking streaming on your fucking little tablet like a fucking idiot, instead of fucking saying, well, no, I want the rain back, I want my country back, right? Now, just going to pause it for a sec. Okay, so this tells you, I'm just going over this again, right? This is Clearfield Trust Company versus the United States. The Commonwealth of Australia is a trading entity. It's registered through the United States Securities Exchange Commission. We've treated with these guys. That means that Uniform Commercial Code applies here illegally, or they're applying it here illegally in the Commonwealth of Australia. Right? And this states governments descend it to the level of a mere private corporation and take on the characteristics of a mere private citizen where private corporate commercial paper, aka Federal Reserve notes and securities checks, is concerned. Right? Financial fines, financial bonds and financial warrants traded through Austraclear and known internationally as CINS, CINS, and come under the Council on Uniform Securities and Council on Uniform Securities and Identification Procedure, and classified as CINS when they're traded outside of America, is concerned. For the purposes of suit, as in lawsuits, such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from fucking government. So in New South Wales, we trade in Federal Reserve notes. We have a Federal Reserve, Australian Federal Reserve, we have a Federal Treasury. It is illegal. It is not government. Right? It's not government. It's a fucking corporation. And such corporations and individuals, because they're private citizens. When it stopped being N.S.W. government or New South Wales government and became NSW Gov, it became a fucking mere private citizen. The New South Wales Police are auditors of their corporation. They're saying you are inside their corporation. They got rid of money, now they want to go. They're trying to get everyone to go to Bitcoin. Stay away from BitChute. Stay away from anything that uses fucking Bitcoin. Zuckerberg, Virgin, all these assholes are all fucking Satanists, and they created Bitcoin because you've got to put it on your phone, and then they track you wherever you go. Right, and smartphone, and smart means to hurt. He who has surety for another shall surely smart. Surety means you're a slave. If you're a slave to someone, it's gonna fucking hurt. Right? This is code. I'm breaking it down for you. I'm showing you the Langue. Right? Pry and vat. Right? First container of the body, because the hospitalers, right, the hospitaliers, right, if you look it up, the root in Latin means host, and they planted their host in you and tricked you into thinking you're the placenta that they've registered. That's you. They're tricking you into thinking that's you. It's not. It's your property. That's it. The placenta is your property. It was connected to you when you came out. It was supposed to stay connected to you until it dried out. Right? Until it physically dried up into a sultana. And then you would be like a god. You would have enough iron, enough stem cells to keep you going for 12 months. And just a bit of liquid from your mother. Right? Governments ascend to the mere level of a private corporation and take on the characteristics of a mere private citizen where private corporate commercial paper, Federal Reserve notes and security checks is concerned. For the purposes of lawsuits, such corporations and individuals are regarded as entities entirely separate from government. This is fucking trust law right here. Right? Yep. Where do we go? So this... Oh, come on, highlight your bar. It's not working. Anyway, so Clearfield Trust Company v... fuck this computer. Clearfield Trust Company versus United States. Google it. Right? I'll do this in a case on its own. Alright, that's me done. Yep, that's me done.